UAlbany women, they know where they're going. They're going to Syracuse on Friday against Florida in the NCAA tournament. UAlbany men, we know where they're going in the CBI. They are playing tomorrow night at Ohio University. And we find ourselves on the Leah line right now. The weary traveler, Danes broadcaster Zach By. Zach By, you are in Athens, Ohio now, right?
I literally just stepped out of the car right now, standing outside my hotel. Haven't even checked in yet. You guys are my priority, so I put my whole life on hold.
We appreciate that, Zach. So the CBI, first thing I want to ask is this. The Danes, they wanted to go back to the NCAA tournament for the fourth time. What's their mindset right now? I mean, do they want to be playing in the CBI?
You know, that's a great question, and I don't have the answer to it. And this is one of these things that these guys all say the right things, but you don't really find out until they're on the court. And look, I mean, obviously these guys are going to play, basketball, and they're going to play hard. But there's like that extra level of intensity and passion when you feel like your legacy is on the line, that you play with when you're playing in an NCAA tournament game or you're vying for an NCAA tournament bid, that I don't think you can really replicate. So whether they can find that and channel that for a CBI first round win, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because, they're not the only one. Ohio got their heart broken in the MAC championship game against Buffalo. So they had other plans as well. So, but at the same time, if I know Will Brown, he's going to spin this in the right direction and get these guys ready to play. But we'll really see tomorrow night when the ball goes up.
I have a two-part question for you, Zach, and I always hesitate to ask two-part questions, but I just got to know. One, how does Will Brown coach this game? Does he coach this game the way he would coach any other game? Or are we going to see different things? Are we going to see Joe Cremo start and work for the future? Or are we going to try to win the CBI now and play the same way we would have played all year? And coming off that, how healthy are the Danes? Because we know some of their upperclassmen are beat up.
Yeah, so basically I can answer both those with one answer. He's going to coach it like he's coaching an NCAA tournament game. Will Brown's very competitive. He wants to earn every single victory. And I know that's kind of like a blanket statement for all coaches. But for Will, I mean, it's really, we've really seen it throughout regular seasons, throughout non-conference seasons, where you would think, hey, maybe you can tinker with the lineup a little bit. It's game 4 against Boston, and, you would think that he's got a tournament bid on the line. So he's going to coach it straight up as if he would any other game. But also the second part of your question, Joe Cremo, I believe, will start tomorrow because Evan Singletary has an injury, one that we didn't know that he had when they played Hartford. But he has a legitimate injury in his shoulder, in between his neck and his shoulder, where he's getting pain when he raises his right arm. That's obviously significant because he's a right-handed shooter. And from everything that I am hearing, he's not going to play. No, don't totally, book that as gospel truth. But I'd be surprised if he takes the floor tomorrow night. So Joe Cremo, it's looking like he is going to start the basketball game. And on top of the Singletary injury, I don't believe that Dallas Enema is going to play either as he rolled his ankle in practice. That's
two really tough losses for the UAlbany Great Danes. They are in Athens, Ohio, getting ready for the CBI tomorrow night. Wednesday, they'll take on Ohio University. It is broadcaster Zach By with us, 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com.
Zach, what can we expect out of this Ohio Bobcats team?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't laid eyes on them myself. I know that they're a 20-plus win Division I basketball team out of a pretty good conference in the MAC. They were so close to an NCAA tournament bid. They lost to Buffalo, who's back in the tournament for a second consecutive year. But the thing is, they had already beaten Buffalo in the year. So just on face value, I know that they've knocked off the Bulls, who's a tournament team. They have 21 victories. They have a kid named Antonio Campbell who averages 17 points and 10 rebounds. Big double-double guy. He's the MAC Player of the Year. And they also have this point guard, Jarrell Rollins, who averages 7.8 assists a game. That's almost 8 dimes every single time he plays. That's the third best mark in the nation. And as a team, they really knock it down from the outside, which is a little bit concerning because that's what we saw Hartford do when they upset Albany in the quarterfinals. They went and hit 12 threes. This is an Ohio team that has 3 different starters shooting over 40% from 3, and they have a freshman who's shooting 47% from 3. That's pretty knocked down shooting squad. So it's going to be interesting to see. They're ranked 20th in Division I basketball. Ohio is out of 360 teams when it comes to shooting the three-pointer. So that's going to be of paramount importance to slow Ohio down from the perimeter and make sure that this kid, Antonio Campbell, doesn't kill you, because Albany's going to be giving up some size here, guys. I mean, Albany's not a very big team. You see the program height of a kid like Greg Steyer or Mike Rowley. It says 6'8". They're not 6'6". They're 6'6", 6'7". Ohio has 3 starters over 6'8". So it's going to be paramount importance to try to be competitive on the glass and really limit their shooting from the outside.
UAlbany broadcaster Zach Bye with us, 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com. He's in Ohio right now for the Danes matchup in the CBI tomorrow night. Danes versus Ohio University. Brady and Gaz are in for Levac. And Zach, the thing that coaches don't ever do, but you and I and Gaz can do, is speculate. There's an opportunity that Siena and UAlbany could meet in this CBI down the road. What do you think a Siena-Albany postseason matchup would be here in the Capital Region?
Well, you know what? I think it'd be really cool. I mean, I'm not one of these guys, who disses these postseason tournaments. There's so much good basketball being played all across the country that if you look at any one of these tournaments, CBI, CIT, NIT, they're all 20-win Division I basketball teams. That's pretty impressive. And I feel like if we can get a Siena-Albany matchup in March, you can spin it however you want negatively. I think that's pretty freaking cool. And if I was a fan, I'd buy a ticket to the game. That game would prospectively be played in the semifinals as they reseed in this tournament after each round. I know that both schools, I think, would love for it to happen. I think it'd be great for both universities, but also the tournament itself. I mean, if you can get Albany and Siena down at the TU Center in the semifinals in March, you can expect probably 8,000 people to go to the game, and that's going to pull in a big gate. And in those later rounds, the tournament itself actually takes that gate, believe it or not. No schools make money off that. The CBI would if they played in the semifinals, so I've learned. So I think everyone all around is sort of rooting for that to happen because it would bring a lot of relevancy to that tournament.
Zach Bye with us, 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com. Brady and Gaz are in for Levac. UAlbany women, they find out that they're going to play in Syracuse in the NCAA tournament. You're going to call that game, from my understanding. How grateful are you that you don't have to go that far?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I am appreciative of the fact that I can be able to be here and then get right home and get right out to Syracuse shortly after I come home. That'll be awesome. And look out, man. Listen, I'm sure you guys are tuned into this, but the people who are not, UAlbany women have as legitimate as an opportunity to upset Florida as I think any team in the NCAA tournament. The 12-5 matchup's an interesting one just in the first place. But the fact that Albany has been banging on the door so many times. I mean, I was there 3 years ago at Delaware. North Carolina, the Tar Heels are down by 5 with under 5 minutes to play. Last year at Cameron against Duke, Duke had a 192-game home winning streak against non-ranked opponents, and Albany had them down by 2 with 14 seconds left in Cameron. They have been banging on the door. A 1-point loss to USC, a grinded-out victory for Tennessee Volunteers, one of the most established women's basketball programs in the history of the sport. I mean, Coach Katie Abrahamson-Henderson has got these girls so wound up that she's been talking about that Duke loss a year ago that I had the privilege to call has been sticking in their craw all season long. Has been a large part of their motivation. So I'm expecting them to go out and sort of, in a way, blindside Florida. Because I'll tell you what right now, I saw those Florida Gator girls on their website already talking about the matchup against Syracuse on Sunday. And they said, it's going to be tough because we're going to play the Orange in front of their home crowd. If they get so sidetracked and keeping their head up and looking over UAlbany, that chin is going to be way out there in the open, and it's going to get cracked by the group on Western Avenue. I'm telling you. Now, I'm not predicting an upset, but I promise you, don't be surprised with under 3 minutes to play if it's a 1 or 2 possession game and it comes down to the wire, because that's actually what I'm expecting.
We know the NCAA tournament can be about superstars. Albany basketball has a superstar in Sharissa Richards. Does she have to go for 30 points or more for them to pull off that upset?
You know, that's a great question, guys, and I think that she does. You know, and typically that's not something I subscribe to, like a player X has to go for 30 for Y to happen, because Albany's so balanced. But in this case, you know, because Florida is so athletic, and from everything I understand and information that I've gathered, they're going to play man-to-man defense. That Sharissa's got to have a big game, because if you're going to play her straight up one-on-one, she has to go be the projected WNBA player that we expect her to be. And then everyone else around her has to play great. I mean, shoot, if you're going to beat Florida, not only does Sharissa, I think, have to go between 25 and 32, but I think Zakiya Saunders has to play great. Amani Tate has to put up 22. You know, Aaron Coughlin's got to hit 3 threes, or they need contributions from everyone to try to make this happen. I mean, I know. I talk about the Albany women and what they can do, but we got to remember, this is the Florida Gators, too. These are SEC recruits. They're going to push the tempo. They're going to press. They're going to get out in transition. They have terrific athletes to be accounted for. So, I mean, Albany's going to have to do a lot of everything if they're going to try to knock off the Gators.
104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com. On the phone, UAlbany basketball broadcaster Zach By with Brady and Gaz. We're in for Levac today. Zach, we'll get you out of here on this because we know you're in Ohio right now getting ready to call the Danes and the Bobcats tomorrow in the CBI. For people that don't understand just how hard you work and just the travel that goes involved to just being the UAlbany broadcaster, you also broadcasted, I believe it was 10 high school games across a 2-day span this past weekend as part of the New York State Championships. I was up there for only one of those games. I can't even imagine broadcasting 10 in 2 days. How are you even talking?
Well, I'll tell you what, I thought I knew what I was in for. And first of all, thanks for talking me up there. You're making me sound more important than I actually am. But, I realize that no one should be doing 6 games in a day, okay? So, because, I've done doubleheaders, for other conferences and calling lacrosse games and whatnot. But once that third game started, I got this feeling in my stomach. I go, oh, my God, we're not even halfway through. And once the fourth game was over, the Time Warner guys were going out to, bring me a cup of tea with honey. And then by the 5th time it started, I'm like, I need something put in this tea now, like an elixir to get me through the rest of the night. And after Game 6, I mean, I could have fell asleep right at the table. I don't want to try to elevate the importance of it, because at the end of the day, I'm talking about a basketball game between 17-year-old kids. But when you're going all in with prep and you're trying to be passionate about it and make it sound interesting, you're pouring your energy actually into the broadcast without, doing jumping jacks and wearing yourself out physically. It is a lot. So, but it was fun. I wasn't in a position to turn it down financially because it was a great weekend, but I don't know if I'll ever be signing up for that again. 6 games in a day without a color man. Brady, without a color man.
Wow, man.
Solo.
One-man show, baby.
The tonsils of Zach By getting a workout over the weekend at the Glens Falls Civic Center. Zach's in Ohio. We're going to let him go. Now step inside that hotel room and maybe relax a little bit before you got to head over to the arena, I'm sure, and start watching practice and doing more prep work, getting ready for the CBI tomorrow, UAlbany and Ohio. Danes broadcaster Zach By with us here at 104.5 The Team. Zach, have fun. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you soon.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm going to go drink an IPA.
Hey, enjoy that.